Welcome to the Explainer. So we're going to talk about two words that sound kind of similar and often get mixed up: dowry and dower. Now, they both have to do with marriage and property, but here's the thing. In the eyes of the law in India, one is a very serious crime and the other is a legally protected right. Let's get these two untangled.
So let's just jump right in with a question that really gets to the core of it all. Because when we talk about property and marriage in India, you've got these two concepts that are, constantly confused. But one is a crime, flat out, and the other is a legal right. Getting them straight is absolutely critical.
All right, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get the definitions straight. Then we'll look at the crime of dowry, followed by the right to dower. We'll put them side by side to really see the difference, check out how the laws actually work, and then wrap up with a thought on how all this fits into the bigger picture.
At first glance, dowry and dower seem to be in the same ballpark. They both involve property changing hands around a marriage. But what's so fascinating is that legally, they are total opposites, built on completely different foundations. So let's tackle dowry first. And we have to be super clear about this from the get-go. Under Indian law, dowry is not some tradition you can choose to follow. It is a criminal offense. This law exists for a reason, to fight back against the harassment, the violence, and the immense social pressure that comes with dowry demands. And the way the law defines it is incredibly broad. It's basically any property or valuable item that's given in connection with the marriage. But here's the part you really got to pay attention to. We usually think of dowry as going from the bride's family to the groom's, right? Well, the law is actually written to cover stuff going in either direction. And check this out. The law casts a really wide net. It's not just the person taking the dowry who's in trouble. The person who gives it, anyone who helps make it happen, and even anyone who just demands it, directly or indirectly, they're all considered offenders.
And yeah, as you'd probably guess for a crime this serious, the penalties are no joke. They're designed to make people think twice.
We're talking a minimum punishment of 5 years in prison. That's the starting point. A judge can technically go lower, but they'd need to have some really solid written-down reasons to do it.
And on top of that prison time, there's a hefty fine. It's at least 15,000 rupees, or, and this is the kicker, the actual value of the dowry, if that's higher.
So, this is absolutely crucial. Any deal, any contract, any agreement that involves giving or taking a dowry is totally worthless in the eyes of the law. It's null and void. You can't take it to court and expect a judge to enforce it.
Okay, let's completely switch gears now. We're moving from a crime to something that's actually a legally protected right under Muslim personal law. This is dower, which is also known as Mahr.
Dower, or Mahr, is a whole different ballgame. The law sees this as an obligation, something the husband must do as a core part of a Muslim marriage. It's not a payment for the bride, it's considered a sign of respect and a way to provide financial security for the wife. It's fundamental to the marriage contract itself.
And this quote, man, it just nails the core idea perfectly. It comes from a landmark case, and it makes it so clear. Dower is all about the respect that's built into the marriage from the start. So even if part of it gets paid after a divorce, its origin, its whole reason for being, is the marriage itself, not the end of it.
So dower is usually broken down into two parts. You have prompt dower, which the wife can ask for literally any time after the marriage. And then you have deferred dower, which is set to be paid later on, typically if the marriage ends, either through death or divorce.
All right, we've looked at them separately. Now let's put them head to head. This is where you can really see how they are worlds apart.
This table just lays it all out, doesn't it? I mean, look at this contrast. Dowry is a crime. Dower is a right. Dowry is about a demand. Dowry is about respect and security. And because of that, a dowry agreement is legally worthless, but a dower agreement is a binding contract. They are complete mirror opposites.
So, we know the rules on paper, but how does this all actually work in the real world? How are these laws enforced when it comes down to it?
When it comes to the dowry ban, the law has some serious teeth. The state actually appoints special officers just to investigate these cases. And if you're charged, it's a non-bailable offense, which means getting out of jail before the trial is very difficult. It's also non-compoundable, and that's huge. It means the families can't just make a private deal to drop the case. Once it's in the system, it has to be dealt with by the court.
Now for dower, it's a totally different story. Enforcement here is about protecting a right, not prosecuting a crime. And a Muslim widow who is owed her dower has this really specific and pretty powerful legal tool she can use.
It's called the right of retention. So think of it like this. If a widow is living on her late husband's property and she hasn't been paid her dower, she can legally stay there. She can even use the income from that property, like rent, to pay off what she's owed. But here's the key. It doesn't make her the owner. She can't just sell the place, and she has to keep track of all the money for any other heirs. It's basically her right to hold the property as security for her debt.
Okay, so after all of that, the definitions, the laws, the enforcement, what's the one big thing you really need to take away from all this?
It really all boils down to this. Dowry is a crime, and it's a crime because it's based on a demand. Dower, on the other hand, is a right, and it's a right because it's based on a legal obligation, a promise made by the husband as a sign of respect. One is about pressure and coercion, the other is about contract and respect.
And that really leaves us with a bigger question to chew on, doesn't it? The law draws this super clear black and white line between a crime and a right, but the real world is a lot messier. And it makes you wonder, just how effective can laws really be at changing cultural habits and traditions that have been tied to marriage for generations? That's definitely something to think about.